All right, welcome everybody. My name is Mike, and I am the uh, admin and creator and host of this page here, local business support for Phoenix, Arizona, and the surrounding areas. And we're helping local business owners, helping other local businesses. And it's designed to just kind of, uh, learn, get motivated, and inspire each other to continue, especially during these difficult times. And like I said, just recently, I just announced that I'm going to be starting putting these videos on YouTube as a podcast. So they're all videos, and entrepreneurs that I interview will be all in one location, so we can go back and view those. And I think every single person that I've interviewed, I always walked away with something that either inspired me or motivated me to continue my journey as an entrepreneur as well. So we're going to continue that going on. Today I have Dewey Lang, and he is a business owner of DJ Prime Grade. How you doing today, Dewey?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much, Michael.
Awesome, man. And yeah, I just want to get right into it. And I know you're like a videographer, I'm excited because I haven't talked to anybody that's in this niche. So it's something I'm interested in while I do marketing and stuff like that. So I'm very into this stuff because it's so powerful what you can create with videos and imaging, and it can really make it break a business in
Correct.
so many different ways. So, but I want to allow you to go ahead and introduce yourself and your business and kind of how you got all into this.
Sure. Well, my name is Dewey Lang. My business itself is through djprimegrade.com. What I do specifically is what's called freelance video and film colorist work. It is a part, sort of a niche part of the video editing field, where I take content that either I've created or other people have created, and then what I do is I work with the director, work with other teams to find out what is the end goal, like what's the atmosphere, what's the type of artistic view that they want, and then I go in and actually design the footage to look and have that feel and everything. Most of the time, if I do a good job, you won't notice it, which
Right.
is the perfect piece of it, because if you get into like a scary movie or something like that, and you're wanting to actually have that heart-wrenching feeling or that dread and that look, that's not a lot of times that's done both in audio and video. But if you have like a dark atmosphere and how that's actually presented and how it's edited right, that'll bring the people out of that and into the story that they're trying to present. So what I'm tasked with is being able to go into those stories and find that piece that they're looking for. A lot of times utilizing other story type of colors and methods to bring it out and essentially present what the director and the producer are wanting for a particular piece or a commercial or any other project that they're looking at. And it could be something as simple as, just cleaning up a YouTube video to make sure that people aren't too dark, or people are, not disconnected from it, or you can actually see the person versus the background and stuff like that. And so that's a lot of what I do. A lot of people don't really notice the fact, but it is a big part of the film industry, especially on post-production. And I do some small videography work as well. I'm helping out with a few projects that are going to be helping with doing some cinematography pieces. But my current skill set is directly on basically the colorist piece. And it is sort of complicated to explain a lot of times, but like if you watch any movie and you see what the big colors now is the teal and blue grades, or the teal and green, in orange type of scenarios where they have that, where it creates an atmosphere or a mood that their filmmakers are looking for. And it's my job to make or break that particular piece and design the artistic side of it. And the reason I got into it was because for the last 16 years I was in corporate IT, very monotonous type of industry. And there was an artistic piece of me that I've been trying to present that I just really couldn't do in that type of field. But coming from the background where I was a hobby photographer, photo editor, and like to be able to try and tell a story through art and color, it seemed like a very easy transition to move into something that was editing and well as color based, that was able to tell a story. And I like that piece because I have a lot of stories myself that I want to present in the long term. But again, you have to start somewhere, and if you're going to build somewhere, build from something that you feel inside that you can build upon and keep on going, and that you're happy to keep going with, instead of something that you're just stuck behind a desk all day, dreading, well, when am I just going to get off, versus, how am I going to twist this, or how am I going to turn it, and see the response from the director or the producer or something like that, where they want their story to come alive. And it's something, to me, I think that it's hard to see tangibly in a lot of stuff these days, especially if you're just doing the normal 9 to 5 style job. And so I've moved into that and have just trying to present myself and see what other options or availability are out there. And with me too, I'm always open to continue my skill set. That's one thing too, is learning is a fluid motion where you if you learn to get to a point where you make your goals, you set your goals up, and you're doing things to get to those goals, but along the way you're doing things that make you happy or that make you comfortable about it, then it becomes something that's not really a job or even a career. Almost, it's something that's a lifelong path or a lifelong journey. And I might have hit on a few key points I know that you may have been hitting on at some point, but that's the overall vantage view that I would like to present, is go after the things that you want to be able to go for, that you enjoy, but always set goals, always set where you want to, and to get to those goals, try to find the ways and the things that you enjoy, so that each and every piece along the way to that journey to that goal is not set with something that's so dreading and so hard to do. It's going to be complicated, it's going to be hard, it's going to be frustrating, which especially in these days, it is very frustrating and very hard to get to a lot of those points. But being able to continue your training and continue finding other skill sets within that, always play a part of building yourself up and not letting yourself get destroyed or get down over slow times like we're in right now, or hard times like we're in right now. But yeah, that's my percent. I know you had some other questions, some follow-ups there.
No, that's great, man, because I mean that's what it's all about. It really is, to me, as well as an entrepreneur. I mean, success, and I think that's something that maybe people will get in time, and the sooner the better. But success is not defined by the end result. The success is that journey.
Yes.
that you're getting to that point. And to your point, like when if you're doing something that you love, you never work a day in your life, because it's just part of your path, and it's part of who you are. And that's I think every entrepreneur's a vision of their view of freedom, whether it's my own personal freedom to have more time with my family, whatever it is, we want to have control over that. And if you can find something that allows you to do that every day, to wake up and move forward, man, that's what it's all about. And I find it really interesting about movies and creation of that. It's just like music, right? I mean, there's people I play a clarinet, I play a bass, I play drums, and it's not. But even when you get all these together to make it presentable onto it, there's producers, and there's editors, and there's all these specifics about music. It's the same thing with movies, and it's so important. So the fact that you don't have to, I want to be in the movies. I mean, you could really, really narrow that down in that skill set to something that where you can just dominate, and you don't have to just be so general. I want to be in movies. Well, what does that mean? You really gotta want to. Are you gonna be an actor? Are you gonna be in video editing or producing, directing? And so the fact that you've kind of already kind of tailored your skill set to dominating one thing, and then staying open to learning other aspects of it as well, so that
Yes.
you're way more well-rounded. That's
Yep.
super important.
The ability to grow is one of the key things that I like to look at. I mean, coming from uh, a corporate background, it was always beneficial. I mean, I have a degree in network engineering and computer site, and so the biggest thing I always learned in, especially in IT, is IT changes every 6 months. You're going to have something that is totally different. A lot of times, it is changing your environment, your infrastructure, your business, and you want to make sure that you have the ability to try to change with that and grow with that, and have an open mind to understand that that's there, and find a way to put yourself within that, even if it's not that exact point of change. Like if the industry all of a sudden is going completely into the cloud, and you're like, well, cloud's maybe not my thing, but I can do an admin piece or a engineering piece really well, so you can actually learn all those pieces, but not really have to deal with the cloud, but it ties into it. And this is sort of the same with the film industry. You have a huge, broad amount of positions within the film industry, to audio, to video, to lighting, to screenwriting, to every bit of the part of the film industry itself. You can be a niche in and everything, but you can also understand that you can be a little bit of all of those to try to help out. A lot of times there's projects. I'm on a few projects right now where I'm a freelance colorist on the project, and so post-production is where I'll be picking up a lot of this, but they need help in a lot of the initial production pieces, and it's almost like PA style work where you're just going out there and you help putting stuff up and you understand it. But that also helps me understand whenever they're filming and what they're trying to get at, whenever they give me the video and say, hey, this is what we're looking for. And because I was there during that video, during the help of that, I understand that this is the style they're looking for. This is the type of lighting that I have to work with, and I can't really push the lighting so much, or I can push it or bring it down to make it fit to what they're looking at. So it's the ability to be as well-rounded and to accept that challenge of sometimes just jumping in there and, well, I don't know for certain, but I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to help out the best that I can. That being said, there's also a method of trying not to wear every hat, so that you're so overwhelmed that you're the director, you're the producer, you're the cinematographer, you're all those pieces, and you have no time to focus on the actual project itself, which a lot of initial people that I've noticed more and more when they start projects, especially indie film style projects, they try to wear every hat. And they think, well, that's going to save me on all this money and all this budget stuff, but they frustrate the anxiety, and then they just quit their whole project because they can't really focus on the project that they want.
Right. They lose focus of it.
Yes. And so it's a balance. It's
Right.
definitely a balance, but also being available or open to sometimes wearing multiple hats, but knowing that, if I wear 3 or 4 hats, my ability to really give 100% and get the quality that you're looking for with this is going to be a little bit lax. Can you, and then that's when you start working with people. Can you agree to it being, a little bit haphazard? Are you really needing the output to be superb and and everything, or are you just doing a quick YouTube video that's just trying to get hits and nothing beyond that? You don't want the super quality, you don't want the film editing pieces all played together. You're just wanting something quick and done so that you can present something and everything. And so it's balance is what I go back to, is definitely balance, but being available and being able to jump in there, especially with projects that you really have. you don't know for certain if that's what you want to do or anything. Like I have a project that I'm on right now that's completely the opposite of what I want to be in the industry. It's called the Fashionitas, and it's very similar to like Dynasty and stuff like that. But and that's stuff my wife likes. But in the end, it puts me out of my box, my comfort
Hmm.
zone, and it puts me into a point where to look at how maybe other shots that or other ways to approach other films that I might not have actually considered and everything. Because long story, in my end goal is I would love to be a film producer within one of the major film companies and everything. That would be my end goal. And I have some series that would be play very well into that. And I enjoy stories and telling stories that are very Lovecraftian horror or cosmic horror. If you've ever watched Bird Box, would be the easiest one to reference, where it's it's hacker slasher. Those are great, but there's the horrors that make you think, the more horror and stuff like that, to where it's thrillers, but you still have that admiration. There's something that's there, and it builds up, and it
Unknown,
touches
right?
on a lot
The
of
element of the unknown, right?
exactly. And Lovecraft is one of my inspirations for a lot of those pieces, and especially for my screenplay is definitely a Lovecraftian style cosmic horror setup. So a lot of those speak to a lot of people in different ways. Some people, just like with Bird Box, people hated Bird Box because they never really got to see what that, the protagonist. And then other people really loved that because that means that they get to delve into their own mind and create what that character was. And that's one of the things I feel in the industry these days is sort of missing, is that the ability for us to stop for a second and go into our own minds and start to actually go, wow, maybe this is what this is. Can I break this down? Oh my gosh, that could be so, you know, horrifying, or it could be something that I've created in my mind. And so I reference to that, and it gets those mental juices flowing, and then all of a sudden I'm the perpetrator of other people becoming artistic and finding their piece because I put a little seed in their mind about, hey, there could be something else, but you have to go find it in yourself. And I sort of missed that. And there was a lot of that we saw back in some of the earlier style movies and shows and stuff like that in the 80s and some in the 70s and even early in the 90s that I miss today, where it leaves the imagination out of it. And that's what I want to, my end goal is I want to be able to present films like that. And where my current industry with the freelance colorist is the ability for me to actually create a lot of that atmosphere without having to actually, in the story, without actually having to give that person the exact thing. Or I can create an atmosphere of horror without even having to have the character in there. And understanding that, to me, also develops me in how I would like to present stories going forward.
That's great, man. And I would imagine that would be kind of a challenge, or some of the challenges you might be going through is when you're working with different individuals and maybe at an end project, but
Mhm.
being able to having to kind of share a person's vision, and be able to communicate uh, and share that vision of what they're looking for. That's got to be a challenge, I would imagine. So how do you handle that?
So one of the ways to handle that, and I'm actually sort of dealing with that right now, and one of the projects that I'm looking at is the end result that they want. They want this great sort of story told, but they don't know how really that they're going to present it. In, like, they even have like shot lists, and they have the shots that they want down, and they have the story scripted out, but they're scared that when they shoot it and how they want to present it are going to be two different things. And they're because of that, I'm sort of coming in to go, all right, let's do this. Step back from the overall movie. Let's go find some other movies and references. And I guarantee you, every single person within the film industry has reference movies and reference shows that they've already looked at and thought this is the reason that I'm writing this show. This is the reason I'm doing this. And so I disconnect them from the original show that we're working on and say, let's go find all of these shows, all of these that you're referencing within that you've used to build this show. Let's go watch those. And I want you to tell me what parts of that you want to be presenting within the story. Normally, when you do that, that gives the ability for what I called, it's not really cognitive dissonance, but cognitive disconnect, to where you ability to remove them from the problem issue that they're trying to be really frustrated about, and you give them an ability to find a solution that's most of the time not right in front of them, and is also something that they've been looking at the whole time that they just didn't know. And that sort of comes from a little bit of I'm ex-military intelligence. I used military, a little bit of background, early 2000s, and so I learned a little bit on the psychology of dealing with some of the people with that. And so that's how I've taken a lot of that and moved that into dealing with people who are really frustrated or get to a point where they can't find a way to find the solution. And when I'm dealing with them and they're really confused with it, just disconnect from it, and then let's go to where the source of the emotion or the source of where the material is coming from, and get that content, bring it over. And a lot of times too, there's sites that are out there that actually give you what's called like steals from all of those movies. And so what I'll do is I'll have them, we'll go and do like a database search and say, hey, all of these movies, all of these scenes that you really pulled out, like, Blade Runner, this scene really stood out to me, and I'm trying to recreate that type of scene. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's go find that and let's see if I can match that up. And most of the time, that's what they honestly are looking for. They just didn't quite know it.
Right. Or they didn't know how to communicate it.
Yes.
And visualize it. They have it. I mean, this is my vision, but to be able to communicate it and allow you to do your job, I'm sure that's got to be the challenge.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's more of you're almost kind of changing the perspective in a way so that they can, like you said, step away from what they are the tunnel vision and open that up a lot more. Yeah.
Exactly. It goes like when people look at stuff like in science that they get really confused on, like string theory, say for instance. Well, a lot of people who love the concept and the quantum theories and all that, but you're looking straight at that and they're like, well, okay, what does that mean? How does that reflect all this? When you start to step back and you explain the grandiose piece of it, and you're like, well, that's relating to this is relating to this, and then it becomes a domino effect of, oh, that makes sense because this, and this. So it's a way to explain something and bring them out of their own frustration. This is something I need to learn more and more, because I'll get myself into that tunnel as well. And my wife actually is one that grounds me on a lot of that stuff, where I start going down the path of frustration and, anxiety and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I'm not getting into an understanding. And she's like, okay, just stop. Let's go do a walk. Let's go do something just, has nothing to do with it, and let your mind relax, and it'll actually dwell on it, but like create an answer for you a lot of times that you aren't looking for. And when you disconnect, it's very helpful. In these days, I will say one key thing: you need to be able to have that, because building anxiety, especially the fact that we're all locked up, we really can't get out and do as much as we really want to do, and we're stuck, and we have that feeling of almost desperation. The ability to disconnect with loved ones, the ability to disconnect with friends, and have that, even if it's small, it's large to you. It's for a mental illness perspective. It's something big. And with like this day and age, like we're on a lot of the projects I'm on, they're on like hiatus, and we're just doing the small pieces that we can, so that once the projects and everything gets back open, we can start really jumping on it. But keeping the fire alive and understanding that we will get to that point, and working the best that we can with the people that we have around us. And it's a hard thing to get over right now, and it is definitely frustrating. I'm right there with a lot of people with there's not a lot that's coming in. There's, work seems to be just starting to pick up a little bit now as some of the places are starting to start up, but it's a lot of times give and take. The news one day can be, up and going, the next day can be down and gloomy. So allowing to take those with just with a pebble, and be like, and then also go and try and find the things that you like, and that's and thrive with those. Like, I'll disconnect, like I did yesterday, where I was in the middle of trying to build out some stuff and work on some of the productions, and I was getting frustrated, and I disconnected and brought up a fractal program that I have that builds out little things that are really cool. And it was mostly just me trying to find a way to alleviate the frustration of everything that's sort of going on, because I was watching the news and everything, and it was building up, and all it was doing was just not helping me. And so the little things most people think that may not help, they do help. And they will keep you, stopping and going to play it. Like, go play a little board game with your kids. Go play a little card game with your kids, which is something I probably need to get down and go do a little bit more as well. Or if you get a chance, I went to Lake Pleasant a few days ago, and it was mostly just to get out with my parents and go swimming. We didn't do much because everything out there is really sort of closed, but I got to take some pictures. I got to let my kids get out and just get in the water and do something. I mean, I have a small pool in the back, but it's different whenever the family gets out and gets to enjoy things, and finding all those small, as it were. It might not be the grandiose. You're not going to see Las Vegas. You're not going to be able to see, Hawaii, but that small amount creates a diamond in the rough right now. And it's just one of the things that I think that will help anybody out there, is sometimes, planning the smallest type of little vacation, even if it's going to visit a family that's close, and going to do something small like that. It will help no matter what. And I think that if you find something that you can look forward to, if you can find something that you can build towards, go for it. And I know I've sort of veered off the path of
Right. No, it's
my
good.
freelance work, but I think that especially now, we need to all be able to work together to help everybody to understand that we're going to be okay. We're going to be able to get through this. And I'll find all the little things that can make something big to you. And, family, friends,
Yeah.
even that part is
I think
important.
I think that kind of leads to, like, I think every entrepreneur or business owner has to have that, where it's your why. Why are you doing these hard
Yes.
things? And if you have that solid why you're doing this, then you can always step away and say, I need to recharge myself, like you're saying. And if your why is your family, then go back and remind yourself that why I'm going through these heartaches, why I'm going through this struggle, or why, things that aren't going my way, this is why I'm doing it. And
Yep.
then you come back way more rejuvenated. I myself went to San Diego with the family a week ago, and everything's kind of crazy and closed down. But we went from the house to the beach to the house, and
Yep.
that was it, man. But I mean, there was nothing. I mean, that air is there. Just, I mean, my God, it's just the purest air right off the ocean. It's just like I'm so rejuvenated, and
Yep.
and then, like you said, it just everything that you thought was weighing you down and stressing, man. It just now you can come back and with even hit it harder, and
Yep.
you're more clear, and it makes it worth it, And so I
It
agree with you.
helps the mentality of things, especially we are slowly, a lot of people are getting more and more into the depression because of
Yeah.
this, and then it helps keep people from that point. I have a daughter who honestly hates stay at home, schooling and stuff like that. My son, perfect with it. And so that dichotomy creates, frustration. But there's, when I get up and I try to get her connected from that frustration and get out and do things, she goes, when we went to the lake, just for instance, like she'll sit out behind here at home and try to play with her friends online and video games, stuff like that. But we got out to the lake and she went crazy. Like she was like this brand new person. She wanted to dive, go out and jump in the water, do everything, and just like this big ball of energy that you don't see at home. And that rejuvenated a lot of what she was going through mentally. And that's definitely the case. I mean, like I'm also a scuba diver, and I enjoy, you get me out in the ocean. If I get able to go down and dive, I'll definitely do it. I didn't get to do any diving really at the lake, but I did get I do free diving here and there as well. So I got a chance to go and do a little bit of that. And that is something too that, I find that small, that enjoyable, that I take and move forward with. But definitely it plays into what we want to do as an entrepreneur, what we want to do as a freelancer, is what we want to do going forward, that the balance that we need. And a lot of times right now, it's almost, you need to be able to have the ability to go do those things in order to make sure that you have the mentality to do the work that you need to get done. Because the whole all work, no play, thing definitely hurts right now with a lot of people. And there's a piece that I think that we need to work together to bring forward. So, but yeah, I know I'll sort of segue a little bit here. I know that we're trying to work this over, but I have been working with a few projects. I have Fashionitas, which is the project that's starting to spin up right now, that I'm working with. There's Life with Roomies, and both of those are on Facebook as well. And those are small indie projects that I have some friends that were in the production business that are trying to get these small productions going. And I have a few other sort of indie horror films that I can't really talk about, some NDA stuff, until we get those projects actually going. But definitely there is room for availability. There's room for work that's there. Sometimes you just have to go and find it. And right now there's, because everybody's not really doing a lot online, you find a lot of people that are trying their best to do as much as they can. I mean, you do have actors and actresses that are reading sonnets. If you look from Sir Patrick Stewart, he was just reading sonnets from Shakespeare. And then you have like David Tennant and other ones that are finding different ways to interact and present their acting ability, or build up their own, interconnection with society. And that is something on the film side that a lot of people who are in the film industry, that's what we sort of not really feed on, but it's what drives us. So finding sometimes just to do little funny, skits. And that's what I'm seeing predominantly across a lot of the film people right now, is they're finding just weird, dumb, funny things that they can push out there. And those gives them the ability to both release steam and just do something funny and do something creative. And it creates that comfort zone on both you and other people who follow them, are like, oh wow, they're doing that, maybe I can find that type of outlet.
Yeah, and I think that's also something like even kind of to an entrepreneur or business owner, where just because we're all going through some kind of hard time, but those examples that you gave there are just opportunities, or show that something happens, a pandemic hits, or whatever happens, that we're able to pivot, and still be able to look at a different way of still working your craft, not just staying with I'm told I can't do this, or I'm not getting more clients, or I'm not getting more acting gigs. Well, what else can I do? They don't stand still. They don't just wait for it to happen. They anticipate maybe, and they're really trying to still work on their craft and their ability.
I think with that, the ability to create your own project is, I think, integral. I have a good friend of mine he's an actor. But he also does photography and some other stuff. and like he's stuck at home right now. He goes between working out, but then he just more recently started just finding like funny ways to do small projects. Like he's got like a little light set up that he'll just go and make something and do some editing and put some stuff into it and then post it and be like, well, didn't really have much time to do, and the family wanted to work together, and we did this. So how do you guys like it? And my next project will be what you guys think of this, and we'll go with that. So building sometimes your own projects, and that helps you, one, stay sharp, two, gets you on the point where you can present that, especially in the film industry, like all the projects you do, you can present that as your demo, that you worked on that. And, even if it's taking your phone out and taking, a lot of phones these days have high quality video type. Yeah, they don't have the top end. You can't, there's some color grading stuff that may or may not be there, but from a simplistic piece, you can do a lot of the things that you would like to do that you just don't think of, and just have somebody do a quick filming of you, and then you can just play with that. And it's I think a part of it is just trying to find something that doesn't draw you backwards, and if you can create your own concept, and then that actually might turn into something more. So it's I think from an entrepreneurial perspective, definitely keep finding a way to drive everything every day, and then use those things that you've done whenever, like if you're not in a job right now, that whenever you start to present yourself for a job, during the time that you didn't have anything, that you went out and either learned the skill set or created some type of skill set or created some type of project. Use that. There's no reason that future managers or future people that are looking for that type of thing, they're looking for that outside the box thinking. They're looking for people who are not just frozen in fear. They're looking for people that made something to the next level, that they took what happened and made something more of it. It's one of the things that, as a manager and as future people to partners with other project and businesses and stuff like that, they look for, and it also helps you look at the world in a different perspective. And a lot of times that's almost what we need right now, is to find a different perspective just to make it work.
Yep, for sure, man. And you've kind of already touched on this as far as and gave a lot of good information, like on when people are going through challenges, what that we're going through to overcome them. And that's the thing I love about doing these interviews, is that no matter what type of industry that you're involved in, it's still the same mindset, right? There's still that same focus and the same type of challenges, no matter, even though the challenges are different, but how we handle them are the same, and
Yes.
it's a mindset. So what do you think as far as like one of your biggest that you see a hurdle that you've had and that you were able to overcome it, and that could help other entrepreneurs and that may be going through something similar?
So I would say the biggest hurdle that I think everybody's dealing with right now, if from perspective, is the lack of projects, the lack of work that's available right now. And really up until probably the last month and a half, 2 months, I just sort of been trying to find a way to build myself, build who I am. If you can make yourself presented and build out like your skill set, build out your next level, build out the next thing that you want to add to it, so that you're not just sole focus is like, yeah, you might have a business that has that you're selling one particular product. Well, your thing is maybe you're trying to sell I can't talk right now, that product, but maybe you haven't done a whole lot of background on marketing, and you haven't had a chance to do that, and you have the time now to go and learn a little bit more marketing and SEO and all that. So take advantage of that, and it's there now for you to be able to do that. And if you're going to invest in anything, invest in yourself, invest in what you want to do next. So how I'm overcoming it is, the last, I would say, probably 2 or 3 months, I've been investing in more master classes, more, and those type of things that build on top of a skill set that I have, and I can present more and everything, and then build your business, and then even build on top of that business. Sometimes there might be a different idea that you want to put into that, and like right now, I'm considering doing more in the photography side and the photo editing pieces, and maybe using that to help with some of the parts that I'm missing with trying to make a little bit more money. So trying to find a way to build a skill set that you like and enjoy, and look at also the things that you do like, and figure out, wow, maybe I can actually do more with this. There's people out there that play video games. Well, there's people that actually stream video games and make a lot more money. Yeah, you might not be the top end person, but you can do a little bit of research and find out how to maybe market yourself a little bit differently, or go about it a little bit harder and everything. But also rely on your friends online. Like, ask the questions, go onto forums, find forums like the local business and stuff. Ask a question. You're like, well, I don't know how this is working. How do I go about it? Like, what are the resources that other people have that I could use? And just, you could ask that question, and that helps, especially right now. And try not to be so negative on everybody, and try to lift everybody up. Especially in this time, we need to find ways to lift like ourselves out of the things that we, and the problems that we have, and find that light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that, there's a multi-pronged approach to go about it. And I've sat and asked multiple people. I've asked friends. I've asked, people on forums. I've got as much information, done my own research, and everything. And so it's definitely not just one single thing. This is what will, if you do this one thing, you're going to be a millionaire. Unfortunately, that's not how life is. But accepting that and knowing that there's 20 different things that you can ask, and you can get all those answers, and then find the best approach for what makes you comfortable. I know people that are amputees, ex-military people that are actors, that have pushed themselves so much that are like better actors than some of the people I've seen in Hollywood. And it sometimes takes people getting to a point where they have to think outside of their own comfort zone in order to actually make the difference that they're looking for.
Yeah, it's almost like they're taking kind of like they're taking their own path, and then once they're going and being open and looking at different directions, who knows where it's going to take you? It can take you somewhere completely different. But because you're open to that, I think that makes you're not so just gotta go this way, gotta go this way. When you're learning, you're trying different things. Man, a whole nother door might open and you didn't even think about, and like, wow, this fits with what I'm doing here, and it's something new, but it's just something that you have to be aware of. And I think that was
actually, I have an example of that a little bit too. There's another project that I'm helping on. It deals a little bit with Lovecraft, but it's a group of people have hit me up about this, called Eldritch Defense Force. And what that pertains to is, it's like a comedy like take on horror, which is weird. It's dark horror or dark comedy horror stuff, but it's a comedy piece of that, which I never really considered myself. I mean, I can do comedy and stuff like that, but it's never been my forte. But the readings and some of the style, and I have some people that I know that are in that group, sort of pulled me over, and they like how I can present the horror piece of it, but now the comedy piece is actually intertwining, and it actually works very well. And I wasn't expecting that at all. And it was only because I was open to considering that there might be something else that I can do. And now I've been brought along with that project as well.
Yeah, instead of just saying, "Oh no, I don't do humor, I don't do comedy, I'm only this," like
Exactly.
it just opens up, and who knows where that can take you. So that's great. Another thing, do you have any resources or applications I know that help make your job easier that maybe somebody that's in the same industry as you use that helps your job, or even just as a overall business owner, helps?
So one of the cool things, if you go within the film industry, I would say
Mhm.
one of the main tool sets that I use is called DaVinci Resolve, and that is actually a free tool that people can use. And I use the studio version, which is the professional one, but they offer the free version that does a large majority of the same type of work that I do. It's just there's some aspects of it that are not there, which is with a lot of any tool sets, but it is one of the growing standards of tools that's being used today. There's other tools out there that aren't free that they're through the Adobe Premiere, After Effects, and other that are useful, that don't cost honestly that much, and the training on that is all over the place. But I will say if you're looking to find applications that help you get to the next step, there's uh, Adobe is on by far very useful with a wide range. It has a huge range of tool sets from uh, Photoshop to Lightroom to Adobe Audition, which most people don't know about, is for people who are doing voice acting. They want to be able to go up and do a lot of that. The voice pieces of it are, through Adobe Audition are very, very strong. And my son actually uses that with some of the stuff that he's trying to do with voiceover work. And so, but they have a huge range. If you want to get into coding, they have a lot of really good coding pieces. And so a lot of that too is offered at I think the like going rate, I think it's like $12.99 a month or up, depending on like how many apps that you want to be able to add on to it. Um, but that being said, there's also resources online that are, I mean, YouTube. Honestly, if you want to learn a new skill set, and I know it can be really convoluted at some points, but you can do a lot of research and a lot of like finding out about multiple things by just looking around on YouTube. And there's a lot of sites out there in Patreon that help facilitate those people and help facilitate how to find more, information or research around that. So it's definitely out there. There's if you want to be a freelance, there's freelancers.org, Upwork.com. There's uh,
Guru.
Guru, and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is actually a really big piece of connectivity
Mhm.
for not just people in business, but people in freelance and entrepreneurial work and almost any type of work. LinkedIn is very, very useful. And I don't even have a Premier account, and I'm still able to connect with the larger majority of the people that I need to connect with. The same thing with like other social media platforms. Utilize those social media platforms to their max ability. I mean, like Facebook, there's millions of groups out there that can help pinpoint you on stuff that you look for. Like I own a Blackmagic video or camcorder for film production and stuff like that. And there's a lot of nuances that I I do and don't understand. But these film groups that I'm a part of, asking simple questions and being able to get that information back, and they give you a lot of the research. It's it's very integral. I mean, like if there's something that you're interested in, be a part of that group. Ask the question. Don't be afraid to ask. I mean, the people that are afraid to ask a lot of times get to the point where they think, well, I'm just so new that my question's going to be seen as dumb. I mean, you get scared and people get like so drawn out in that they're just trying to not do anything, and then you get to this point where you don't know what you're doing because you're not asking any questions. Don't be scared. I'm afraid to ask. It's social media. If somebody comes back and says something bad about you, you can block them or you can say something about them, or there's means to get around that. But don't be afraid to make that next step and use all of the resources that are around you. Talk to a friend who may have some insight. Even a neighbor or somebody at work. A lot of times, the resources are definitely all around us, but social media and YouTube and masterclass. I'm a very big fan of creative masterclasses and using those to maximize your ability to do things. One thing I will sort of present here is I'm a big fan of this site called Flearn. If anybody likes Photoshop or learning how to do Photoshop editing, which I know is a very big piece, and I know it's sort of a little bit of a plug here, but this guy's very fantastic designer, and he does very fantastic and very good quality Photoshop work. But he also trains people to do like I've never seen any other masterclass as good as his. So if anybody's out there looking for Photoshop training, Flearn, Phlearn, they are very good resource to use. But social media is integral in any type of learning. It's not just using it for reading the news. I'm get to a point now, if I can, I'm trying to inundate my social media feed with training stuff and learning things and removing as much of the news stuff so that I don't just go down a downward spiral of depression and everything. So it's one of those things that you can create the things that you want. A lot of times just you got to ask the questions, get on the group, ask the question. And if you think something's cool, okay, go with it, run with it, find that drive.
You gotta take action, man. It's,
Yes.
like if you're just waiting for, because you're afraid of something, I mean, then you can't take action and you can't move forward if you're not continuously learning. And I find in my experience, if you have any negatives, naysayers, they're going to be there. But for the most part, I find people so supportive. You tell them, I'm looking for help. Man, you get flooded with more people helping you and giving you feedback than you might find one person that might say something, no, you don't, you're wasting my time or whatever. And I
Yeah.
really haven't come across that too often at all. I found the opposite, to be true. So
Yeah.
uh,
And that's the thing is a lot of people that I've talked to are scared that that's what the situation is going to be. That they say something, they're going to be, well, I'm going to be found out that I'm a newbie or I don't know enough about this,
right.
and so I don't ask the questions. I just read, and the answer is, well, if you want to get somewhere, sometimes you got to ask that question, and then maybe other people that are out there that might have that type of question will step up as well and maybe start asking their questions, and you might be the domino effect for another person. So I'm all for taking initiative
Yeah.
and pushing past your comfort zone,
Yeah.
and but being also happy with what you want to do and ask those questions.
Yeah. I even find like you ask a question, you think that, oh, I'm the only one that's gonna, and you come to find out, oh, I had the same question. I was afraid to ask that.
Yep.
And a lot of people had that same question. Yeah, well, I was curious about that too. So, it's just getting out of that comfort zone, being uncomfortable. But everybody at some point started from, was a noob, and
Yep.
learning. So I think
Everybody
everybody
had to learn to walk and
everybody
crawl.
had to,
Yep.
exactly. So very good. Um, do you have any books? Because I always think that knowledge is power, and so do you have any books that
So
you recommend or that you're reading right now that?
Save the Cat is for people in the film industry. That's probably one of the ones that I would lean towards most people looking at. It's a sort of an overview of how the film industry works, and it gets meticulous on like shot lists and certain things that most people don't think about. They think, well, we'll just go in here and we're going to film this scene.
Right.
Well, there's a lot that planning and pieces of it that most people don't understand, and Save the Cat really delves into that piece, and I think that's something that would help. Um, there's other books out there that are philosophy based and everything, but honestly, it's sort of hard to say. I have that there's a book out there that's sort of disconnected from a lot of the people. It's called Sophie's World, and it's more philosophical. But what it eventually does for people, especially now, is it starts to have people ask the questions about who they are or what's sort of going on philosophically, and then they can start asking what their next steps are and what they're going to do, and then the book sort of leaves eventually with sort of an open-ended concept of, is reality real and stuff like that. But so it leaves you with that, your mind tingling and your mind going. And that to me is something, if you're reading a book, in a story, you want to have at the end of it, you want to crave the next step, or you put the next question, or what the next piece of your life is going to be, or how you're going to put that into yourself. So those are the two books right now that I would probably suggest, and those are sort of two different pieces of the genre, but they help both with understanding my side of the film industry with Save the Cat, as well as understanding philosophy and psychiatry and some stuff, and what we want to do to help bring ourselves up, and then just getting the mind juices going, really.
Yep, that's great. And then, yeah, I think that's always something that everybody um, just needs to, and that's the thing too, even in the books like that, even if you're not in the filming business or something like that, those type of books like that, you can still, if you come in with a certain mindset, you can always find a way how that can apply to my life. Like, oh, see how organized these people are creating this movie? Well, why can't you apply that same type of knowledge towards my business? I need to
Yes,
plan ahead. I need to, write this on paper every step and then take action on it, man. So that's why I like these books and different perspectives, because you can read a book 10 times and get something different out of it every time. So it
yep.
just kind of depends on your perspective at that moment.
And
Real quick, man. I mean, I know you're busy. I know you got some other stuff going on. So we've just been going, and the time's flying here, man. But I wanted
yeah,
to give you an opportunity to kind of let everybody know, how they can find you, what projects you got going on that we can,
sure.
check out and maybe support in any way. And then I'll make sure to get that all in here when I edit, and so that we know how to support you.
Sounds good. I appreciate that, Michael. Uh, you can reach me through my website, djprimegrade.com. There is a contact list on there. You can also email me at dewey@djprimegrade.com. That'll go to me. The projects that I'm currently working on are a mix of projects from mostly indie style projects, Fashionitas, which is sort of a dynasty style sort of soap opera, a little bit more, a little bit of thriller stuff going on in there. Life with Roomies is another project that I've been brought on to help out, and that one is a very comical style sort of uh, it's comedy, but it's to a point where people are trying to, it's sort of like going in and out. It's the satire stuff that you sort of see on TV here and there, and I'm sort of being brought in to help out with post production pieces of that one. But I also have a script that it's halted production right now, but still in the middle of production as soon as things get going, called Pure. And that production, or that script is definitely it's an indie horror style film, but it's in the cosmic horror genre. But the the end result is very open-ended. It wants you to be able to question who you are, or question where we are in society, and stuff like that. And so that's a project that I'm trying to get launched right now. At some points, I'm probably going to get a GoFundMe maybe at some point. A lot of times we see that GoFundMe is hit and miss with some of the film industry side. So I'm trying to weigh in the best approach to funding with that. But those are my key projects right now that are going on. But yeah, you can definitely reach me through my website. I also have a YouTube channel that's under the same name, DJ_Primegrade, that I post a lot of my video grading projects, and I'm going to start posting a little bit more that's going to be specific to the film industry side. I have a very good friend of mine, Samantha, who does voice reading, who actually went through and read my whole script as well as my short story associated with my script, and did a fantastic voiceover reading for it. And I have that posted on my YouTube channel as well, and trying to gather more feedback and people that might be interested in that type of screenwriting or screenplay. So those are definitely the key things that are going right now. But any other thing, I'm always open for future projects. I'm open to help out. I say I do have a corporate IT background, so I have an understanding of a lot of business pieces that I'm also always able to just give quick advice and think that, this business might go this way. If you might do this or that, you might want to get some cloud set up here, or you might consider going a different direction. I'm always open just to give a quick, advice if somebody just has like a weird off the wall question.
Cool, man.
So,
And also, I thought you were was interesting. You said something about you also were a guest on the podcast that kind of tailors to the movie industry
yes.
as well. So,
Yeah, I can explain that definitely. I forgot about that. So there's a podcast called New Script on the Block. It's created and distributed through a company called Arizona Studios, with their group, the fantastic studio. By the way, I've worked with them many times. I know Alyssa, who's a production manager there. She's fantastic to work with, very on point when it comes to dealing with future productions. She helped me with my script, and I was a part of her podcast called New Script on the Block that introduced my script Pure, that she also helped me write and screenplay as well. And what it was designed to do was mostly introduce people to up and coming screenplays and indie films that are happening in the Phoenix area, as well as within the Arizona. People from Tucson who've come in and done the podcast with them, and future projects. So definitely check out New Script on the Block by the Arizona Productions crew over in the Tempe, Phoenix area. But yeah, they're a fantastic crew. I back them 100% with anything they do, and everything. Nero, Melissa, Ashley, and Graham, all those guys, fantastic. They have very good and to the point production team. They have like green screen and a few other things, but the podcast that we worked with was it sort of set up a little small studio set, and we just sat down and just hashed out like what the overall script, what I was wanting to do with the script, how I want my future goals, or with the script, if we want to get a production, or if it's just something that maybe one day, and everything. And then we just sort of sat down and shoot the wind with everything a little bit too. So it was a little bit of back and forth like this podcast was, but it was definitely directed at explaining what the new type of script and indies films that are coming these days. There's also another film that a part of when I was doing production for my production Pure. I had a VFX manager, Paul Ningris, who came over with his company, his ex Foxtrot. He has another film that I'm trying to help market. As much as I can, I try to help anybody within the industry that's doing everything. But there's a Nether Blaster, or Max Reload in the Nether Blasters is a indie film that's actually about to come out in August. That if you can go check it out, it's a fantastic film. It's got people, what's his face from Mike Smith, Mike Smith from Jay and Silent Bob. So Silent Bob's in the movie.
okay.
And there's a huge range of people for an indie movie. It was just really cool to see as many people be a part of it. Plus the VFX on it, fantastic. The guys over at Foxtrot know what they're doing, and he's a good friend of mine, Paul, and everything. So another plug, go check those guys out. I'm not really getting any kickback from that, but I support the industry as a whole. And anytime that I feel that some part of our industry is making headway, I feel if they can start making headway and I can help present them and get them going, then it'll come back and help me. It's karma, I think.
Oh, yeah,
So
for sure. For sure, man. And make sure to keep us posted on those projects within the group as well, and on the page, because I think everybody's fascinated. I don't care who you are. I think the movie industry and stuff like that is something that's always enjoyed, and so I think a lot of people, just by following you in your journey, um, I think people can just even get inspired and say, hey, I want to do something like that. I didn't know I
Yeah,
could just do one little specific, part of it and learn the whole industry at the same time, and it doesn't have to be so broad, and I think
yeah.
that's so that keep us in the loop with all your projects so that we can support those as well.
Okay.
And if anybody needs help, with information that he's provided for us for videos and stuff like that, he's a great source there that we have in our group. And he definitely is open to helping. Um,
Yes.
his philosophy. So that's great, man. So again, I appreciate your time, Dewey, and I've had a lot of fun with this, man. So I'll be posting this uh,
Thank you.
on the group and the page, and then on the YouTube. So again, thanks a lot, man. Everyone
Mhm.
else, continue to support those local businesses and entrepreneurs. And it doesn't take a lot. Just go on there and like their page, comment, share their information with others, and that's how we all will help each other. Get through these hard times and
Exactly.
be able to enjoy the life. So, thanks again, man, and you have a great one. Okay,
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you for having me.
no problem.